The planned expansion of the San Diego Convention Center will include almost 1 million additional square feet of space and cost $500 million. It will have more room for meetings, exhibitions, a ballroom, and retail outlets. The people who pushed for the larger venue believe it will lure major conventions to San Diego. All of this could be irrelevant. That's because the expanded version of the convention center could be inundated with seawater by mid-century if climate change predictions are accurate.
Your mother told you, hope for the best and plan for the worst.
San Diego Port Commissioner Scott Peters says maps making the rounds at the agency show sea levels climbing anywhere between 18 inches and 4 feet along the tide line by 2050.
Look, if we're going to make an investment like this on our waterfront, we need to be ready for sea level rise. It would not be smart to not consider this as we go forward.
But the comments made by Peters, who appears headed for Congress, are contradicted by the port's own official position that seems to give the agency an out. Its environmental impact report was based on sea level data available as of December 2010. That's when the notice to prepare the environmental report was issued. At that time, state information showed the convention center expansion above sea level. The maps showing it underwater were done in 2011. Also, the port says that by law, an environmental report, quote, is not required to consider the impacts of future environmental conditions such as sea level rise on a proposed project. Yet, Port Commissioner Dan Malcolm says the sea level rise maps are being considered for another project, the 556-acre development for Chula Vista's shoreline along San Diego Bay.
Various environmental stakeholders looked at the maps, used them, determined that these draft maps were substantially different than the inundation maps that were done for the Chula Vista Bayfront Master Plan previously several years ago. And then based upon that determination, they required some changes be made at the last minute to the Chula Vista Bayfront Master Plan, including some additional monitoring, including potentially some future remediation actions dependent on the results of that monitoring.
Malcolm is frustrated that the sea level rise maps for Chula Vista are being taken into account before the port's full commission has examined them and concluded the science is valid.
Healthy skepticism in science is a good thing. You know, and again, anyone out there that goes on the internet, there are thousands and thousands of articles that global warming is real, that global warming is not real, that the sea level is going to rise, that it's not going to rise, that it's going to be absolute disaster, that it isn't going to be disaster.
The maps predicting sea level rise for waterfront development were prepared by port contractor Environ, using research data from local scientists. Malcolm says he's been assured by port officials the maps will go before the full commission for discussion. If commissioners accept the map, he says there will be little choice but to change course.
If this is science, then how can we allow a development to occur where we are showing there's going to be sea level rise and inundation? It doesn't make any logical sense.
Allowing the development anyway could require massive protection measures with a huge price tag.
I won't even speculate as to how many billions of dollars will ultimately be required to protect our cities and our tidelands from sea level rise and water damage that would result from that.
Port Commissioner Lee Burdick is chairwoman of the Environmental Advisory Committee and Climate Action Plan Working Group. She says the extent of potential flood risk along the tide line is alarming far beyond the convention center project if public agencies do nothing.
If we were not to react and plan for sea level rise, clearly the South Bay, Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, the Silver Strand, and Coronado are particularly vulnerable. In the city of San Diego, we are vulnerable along Harbor Island and the airport. If you looked at New York LaGuardia Airport, which is very close to the water tide line in New York, it was a swamp. It was a lake after Superstorm Sandy, and we certainly want to protect San Diego's important regional transportation assets from suffering that.
Despite knowing the convention center expansion could be underwater in 2050, the Port Commission voted unanimously in September to move forward using the old data.